Happy holidays, everybody. It's Jeremy here from Tested, and I have a few of my favorite things that I wanted to share with you for the holidays of my favorite things of 2017. Number one, now this is a little bit cheating. This came out last year, but at the end of it, this is The Art of Atari, the book by Tim Lapitino, and I can't say enough positive things about this book. Unlike most nostalgic video game books, this is not about the games. This is about the artwork that was on the cover of Atari 2600 games, mostly 2600 games, from the late 70s. And so we're talking about back when graphics weren't even worth showing on the cover of the box. So they had to interpret the game design, and they had wonderful artists come and draw the cover art. And the art is nostalgic for everybody from my generation, and it's just blown up and gorgeous. You can see all these details, and the stories that they tell about these artists are worth reading, and it will bring a lot of joy to any video game nerd's heart. This year, however, they came out with the companion poster book, which is exactly what you think it is. It's several of the artworks from the book, all first-party Atari stuff that they had blown up poster size. You take something like that, you find frames on Amazon that match the border of the actual cardboard box that the game's shipped with, and you find some actual cartridges, and you make yourself a little Atari nostalgia factory. This was one of my favorite projects of the year, and a great way to decorate your office or arcade. Other favorite things of the year, also video game related. I have to give a shout out to the Nintendo Switch, which is a revolutionary mobile device. However, but for me, it's of course all about the games. The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. My favorite game of the year easily. I'm in the camp that thinks Breath of the Wild is contender for best game ever. If you have kids, if you're a gamer of any kind, the Switch is the one to get. It is a cool device. You can bring it on, traveling into a friend's house, easily play Mario Kart with each other. But honestly, Breath of the Wild, it is worth the price of admission in and of itself. My favorite game of the year. However, going from the beginning of the year, a little bit later in the year, we had a VR title called Echo Arena, which, I feel like VR and 2D are almost two different things entirely. It's hard to compare them. In the VR space, my VR game of the year would definitely be this game called Echo Arena, the companion to a single-player game called Lone Echo. Echo Arena is a multiplayer sort of frisbee game where you're sort of like Rocket League, but with a frisbee and you're throwing it into goals. It's incredible. And the way that you move around this space transformed what I thought was even possible with this generation of VR. I think a lot of games are going to be looking at this as inspiration for how to design locomotion and moving in VR. Going forward into next year, and far and away, if you play one VR game, Lone Echo / Echo Arena, that should be it. I loved it so much, I made my own fan art. This is a laser cut version of the Frisbee disc that you get in the game. I'm a huge fan, so I'm grateful that we had a year with the incredible groundbreaking VR game, as well as the best Zelda game of all time. It was a good year for video games. However, one last thing on the hardware side, I got a new 3D printer this year called the Prusa i3 MK2S, very catchy name, and I love it. I feel like I have been using printer bots for the past few years, and I thought 3D printing that's how it had to be. I thought you had to restart prints constantly, and I thought you had to mess with the print bed, and it was more of like, it wasn't even a hobby, it was like a chore. No more. The i3 has changed the way I look at 3D printing. It is, you upload your file, you hit print, and it just comes out amazing. It is a great printer, and the quality for some of these parts speak for themselves. This Planet, I don't know how, this would have never been able to be done on my last two 3D printers. The way that all the pieces have these tiny little curves at the very top, and they just look seamless, and they're not falling apart. They don't look like squiggly Dr. Seuss constructions. You can also attach a multi-material upgrade to it so that you can get these 4-color prints like this amazing, the Last Starfighter Christmas ornament, which obviously everybody is going to want, and something simple like a 2-color Stormtrooper. The multi-material thing, for me, it is one of my favorite things. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to anybody but the more hardcore 3D printing nerds out there. However, if you're considering a hobby in 3D printing, if you're considering putting your toes in the water, the Prusa i3, I highly recommend it. Actually, the i3 is the MK3 is the new one. And this is the MK2S, which is basically the same quality print with a few less user experience improvements that they made with the latest generation. In any case, I love this 3D printer, and it's something that I enjoy using every single time. I guess one last thing I would like to throw in here is I bought a car at the beginning of the year. We shot a video about it. It's the Chevy Bolt. And I've gotten a lot of people on Twitter saying they'd like a follow-up. Do I still like the car? In fact, if I were to say what is my favorite thing, that would be my favorite thing of the year. 11 months later, I'm still enjoying every time I get into the car. So electric cars, let's do that some more in 2018. So I'll see you next year. And from all of us here at Tested, Happy New Year.